How can you make your first 6 figures as an entrepreneur? Joining us is my friend, an absolute rock star entrepreneur, Peter Voogd. He is the author of 6 Months to 6 Figures, which has sold close to 200,000 copies. And he's also the founder of the Game Changers Academy. Pleasure to have you on the show,
Thanks, man.
brother.
Been excited. Yeah, I'm excited, man.
All right, so you break down how to make 6 figures in 6 months in your book. But let's break it down for the person who's out there and they haven't made 6 figures yet. You have some very practical steps. What are the first ones?
Yeah, so good question. First of all, I didn't know it was a framework until after I made the 6 figures. I was struggling, I was frustrated, I was broke, and didn't know I could make 6 figures. Yeah. So when it goes down to steps, I'll simplify years of my life and go back to a framework that can help people right away. The first step is knowing you know exactly what you want to do. Like you have absolute clarity on who you are, who you need. You got to get rid of all the noise out there. When I was broke and frustrated, there were so many other things in my head, and I was listening to too many people, taking too many opinions, and I wasn't clear. And when you're not clear, you won't take action. And when you're focused on complexity and all these different things, it's going to halt your action. So the first step, honestly, is absolute clarity on why you want to get to 6 figures and who you need to help you. So for me, I got clear on what I wanted. I didn't want to be broke anymore. Yeah. And I focused on a 6-month vision that was inspiring, that was doable, that scared me a little bit. So if I ask Mark, 100 entrepreneurs, what's your ideal outcome in 6 months? 99 out of 100 are too vague, they have no clue. So the first thing I did was I got crystal clear on what I wanted to accomplish in 6 months. So I simplified everything to a 1-page plan. I had my vision statement, like my values. I had my top 5 of what I wanted to accomplish. One of them was to make 6 figures. And I made sure that I had enough reasons. I don't think people have enough strong reasons to pull them past the challenges, because the second you set a goal, it's going to be tough and you're going to be challenged, but you need the reasons to pull you through it. So I put my reasons on there. Then I figured out the 1 or 2 skills I needed that were most relevant to my 5 big goals, and I only focused on those. So I see people focusing on too many things. They're listening to every podcast, every video, every book, and they're not focused on mastery. So I just focused on those skills. I had my reasons written down, and I just went all in, and I elevated my circle of influence along the way. But that's step 1, is just absolute clarity on who you are, who you're not, who you need, and make sure you only are focused on things that are relevant to your 6-month vision.
So habits and rituals obviously are something that come up. You talk about it in the book. I know that in order to make 6 figures, if you're not already doing that, just as to go to 6 to 7 and 7 to 8, you have to start to change your psychology, but you also have to start changing your habits and your rituals. So what are some of the habits and rituals that you learned to start applying in your life that made you 6 figures?
Yeah, first of all, I'll tell you this very confidently. It was harder for me to make 6 figures than to make 7. Your first 6 figures is harder than your first 7 if you're strategic. So for me, it was hard. Looking back, it was way harder, to be honest. I don't know. I never had made a lot of income, so that barrier of 6 figures was so tough for me, and it was such a part of my life that I found out who I was. I was missing a lot of family events. I was just all in on my mission. I elevated my circle of influence to a whole new level. So I really shaped who I was. And then from 6 to 7. Was the same type of structure, just at a higher level. So habits-wise, first thing is you have to figure out a morning routine that's conducive and congruent to getting you as productive as possible for the day. It's first thing. So I didn't have a morning routine. I would wake up when I felt like it. I would start the day with something that wasn't productive, maybe watching TV, maybe the news. Now I'm very strategic and intentional first thing in the morning. So I have my morning routine, and there's a lot of things out there, Mark, that give you 49 steps to a morning routine. I'm not big on that. I'm more focused on outcome-related things. So, because I feel like if you're outcome focused, you're gonna produce results like nobody else. So if we're gonna get tactical here, the whole purpose of a morning routine is 1, you have to have clarity on exactly what you're doing that day. So you have to have intention, and you have to visualize what your perfect day is to make sure that you know exactly what you wanna shoot for. 2 is confidence and courage to leave the day strong, to make big decisions. So everything I did in the morning was to make sure I had confidence leaving the house, like I was in the best state of mind possible. 2, I knew what I was doing. So the first thing I would do, which I never did before this, was the toughest task, or the income producing activity. We've talked about this before. You gotta do the things that are proven to make income. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and they're like busy all week. They're working 100 hours, but they don't have money. They're broke. And I'm just
doesn't make any sense.
No, but they're focusing on all the things except what actually matters. And here's the scary thing. Doing something unimportant well doesn't make it more important because you do it well.
Yeah.
Right? So
they're trying to put in 18 hours a day to feel productive.
Yes.
Yet they're not actually making progress.
That's how I
moving
was,
forward.
by the way, at the beginning. I was working 60 hours a week, and society says, well, if you're not getting results, work 70. If you're not getting
harder,
results,
not
work
smarter.
80. And then I was working 80. I was capped out with how much I was working, but my results weren't changing. So I'm thinking in my head, something has to change. And it's all in my book here.
Yeah.
But it's not about the hours you work, it's what you put in the hours. So a morning routine for me was crucial. I work 60 to 90 minutes, first thing in the morning, my most productive task. No interruptions. I eliminate all distractions and I go all in. Then I take a quick break.
Highest income, highest impact.
100%.
Okay.
And what's cool is when you're coming up, you always want to work 60 to 80% on things that are like making profit for you and making money for your business, moving your business forward. And I always say you should be working 20% on legacy-focused things, like a book, a program, song, an album, a podcast, something that's going to be around for a long time. That's a legacy play. You have a book, I have a book.
Yeah.
Now, here's the scary thing. If you're only focusing on a book and you don't have money, you're not going to make money till later. So that's why it's 80% profit producing, 20% legacy, but then it eventually switches. So now I can do 80% legacy and make no money immediately because I have the systems in place to make the money that I put through in the last couple of years. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
And something about you that I notice about any successful person who walks through these doors is you've got the passion and you've got the confidence. Founder of Game Changers Academy and author of 6 months to 6 figures, almost 200,000 copies sold, over 4,000 reviews online, which is incredible. Peter Voogd is joining us right now. This is Business Rockstars. I'm Mark Lack. We're here to inspire, inform, and connect a community of entrepreneurs. Brother, I gotta know, you're obviously ultra healthy. I've been to your house many times. You're vegetarian, you're eating healthy, you're working out constantly. Is that part of what helps you stay confident and passionate and on purpose?
You know, yes. It's the energy is everything. I think it's the most underrated commodity on earth is energy. And for me, when I was running a sales team, we had hundreds of sales reps. We were doing well. And when I got healthier, because your culture in your business is a reflection of you. If your people cut corners, you do. If you show up late, your people do. If you're not passionate, they're not. They're a reflection of you. So for me, I realized how important health was, and I saw it, Mark, as a competitive advantage because I looked around. Even the people I most respected, the people that I've looked up to since I was 14, I realized a lot of them were so focused on business and millions, but nothing on health, and a lot of them not even on relationships. So they'd be $1 million producers, but horrible parents or no health. So I wanted to follow people that had world-class overall, they're game changers in every area of their life. So yes, health was huge for me. So I got into health. I then taught my team how to be healthier. I said, guys, this is the competitive advantage. Nothing tastes as good as health feels. And ever since I've been on the health kick, Mark, I'm more productive, I'm more creative, I'm more aware, I feel better. Every time I eat, I feel more vibrant and alive versus tired. So, and to be honest, this is an uncomfortable topic for unhealthy people. It's uncomfortable because they're like, health?
Money is an uncomfortable topic for broke people.
Yeah, but you have to face it. That's what you need. Sometimes the things that you need to hear are not the things you want to hear.
At the end of the day, being uncomfortable is what allows you to ultimately end up growing.
So to be honest, if you know you're not healthy, that's an advantage, and you need to make a decision right now to understand the importance of health. If you don't make time for health now, I think you're going to have to make time for illness later. I've realized that. So it's more about sustained success and focusing on your future self versus instant gratification. I think our society is obsessed with instant gratification. Now, I want the pizza now, I want this now. And it's going to kill your ambitions, it's going to kill your results, and it's going to kill your progress.
So somebody says, you know, I've read 6 figures, 6 months to 6 figures, and I've got one big takeaway. What's that takeaway going to be?
Oh, I think the biggest one is mastery versus overload. With all the information, with the information out there, with all the podcasts, all the books, all the videos, all the courses, all the advice, people are so quick to throw advice out there that everyone's overloaded. They're overwhelmed, and when you're overwhelmed, Mark, you seek distraction subconsciously. It's a fact. And I think complexity is the enemy of execution. So if people say the biggest takeaway, and I surveyed my game changers on my academy, and the biggest takeaway is mastery versus overload. So what I tell people is figure out your ideal outcome, figure out what you want to accomplish in the next 6 months, base it off your potential and what's possible, not your past. Most people base everything off their past, and they haven't accomplished as much as they want, so they're limiting their goals by their past. So set the goals, figure out your ideal outcome, figure out the top 5 things you want to accomplish. Where if me and you were hanging out in 6 months, and I say, Mark, what would have had to happen for you to be fully excited about your results? You need to tell me 5 things. And then here's the key. Focus only on things that are relevant and congruent to those goals. So it's a fact check. Look at the podcast. Is this podcast, A, is it ran by someone that's world class, that has results? B, have I already executed on the information I've already learned? And if you haven't, don't move on. People are addicted to information and not outcomes.
I knew you were showing up with the fire today, brother. Where can people get more information about you in this book?
Amazon. They can learn more at GameChangersMovement.com, and then Audible has the Audible as well.